Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to a brand new New World video. And once again, this is going to be a build video and a very special build video because this is the build that I always use when I'm going for my kill record games in OPR. If you guys do not know, over the course of the last 2 weeks, I have been hunting for an OPR kill record. My current PB is 73 kills. I'm trying to get to 100 kills in a singular OPR game. And the build that I'm doing that with is what I'm displaying today. So, the item that really makes this build work is actually the finisher. And there's two ways you can go about building your finisher. As you can see, I haven't put another perk on because that's the next thing I have to do. Alright, I guess no guide is finished until we fully complete our finisher. And I've had a nice amount of thinking of what I actually want to put onto my finisher, and there are quite a lot of good options. So first option would be something like a penetrating backstab. A second really good option would be something like a keenly empowered. A third good option would be something like a flame attunement, especially since we're playing so much fire harnessing on our gear. But what I will be going for is most likely going to be the keen speed. The way I like to use Rapier is just to like reposition, move around. Sometimes I do go a little bit aggressive, but I think keen speed is gonna be our best option. We're gonna buy a weapon matrix real quick, and that's what we're gonna do. Alright, and just like that, we are decided. Weapon matrix, finisher, a bunch of dark matter, one chromatic seal, and a huge elk hoof for the keen speed. Let's go ahead and make this thing. There it is. The finisher is also completed, and I guess with this, we now finally have everything that this build needs. Another thing that I'm changing is I'm using a tier 2 cut ruby on the rapier. There's some calculation things that it should give me a little bit more damage than a tier 5, but I don't really know if that works or not, but that's what we are doing. Finisher is completed. The only reason why I'm really using finisher is right here. Finisher's Armour attacks against bleeding targets deal 15% more damage and reduce cooldowns, but look at this, it works on both weapons. So because of that, we can be smart with the weapon of our choice. And this right here is a very good named staff that you can get, but this is not the only thing I'm running. However, the important thing, once again, is to have the Keenly Jagged perk. As you can see, it inflicts bleed. And on top of that, we have a Flame Attunement, and on top of that, we have Enchanted. However, I'm using a lot of different staffs when it comes to it. I like using this Vicious Fireball Keenly Jagged staff as well when I'm using Finisher. And then if I were to get rid of Finisher, I would then be using something like a Pillar, Keenly Empowered Enchanted, or Pillar, Keenly Empowered something, or even Fireball, Keenly Empowered something. But just to keep this video on track and on topic, I'm just going to talk about the build that I use right now to hunt my kill records. And it all starts right over here. Fully attack based fire staff, right? So we don't put any abilities on this. We're basically just looking to deal as much damage with autos as humanly possible. And the way we top this off is with fire harnessing on every single gear piece. And I personally prioritize for freedoms, but if you have the option of playing shirking heals with the tumbler feet reps, do that. However, I took those on a different account. But if we just quickly go top to bottom on my gear, and once again, this is all the gear I obtained myself because this is the 0 to bis account, but I'm prioritizing freedom and fire harnessing, and any third bonus perk, I go with it. So here we have Enchanted Ward as a third perk. Moving on to the body, we got ourselves Refreshing as a third perk, obviously decent. Moving on to the glove, this is in my opinion bis. We got freedom, fire harnessing, and health, but again, health is not needed, but it's good if you're running shirking heals, for example. I can't on this build, but anyways, moving on to the legs, we got Refreshing Elemental Aversion health. This is the only piece that I have without the fire harnessing. However, it gives me so many more stats, and I don't really want to throw away health just to put fire harnessing on it, because this is the pens that I run in a lot of PvE scenarios as well. We do chuck the Opal with Ignited onto that. Nice little rune glass there to enhance our damage even more. And then on the feet, we got again fire harnessing, freedom with Enchanted Ward. So we got 2 Enchanted Wards, 1 refreshing, and 1 health. Again, a little bit all over the place, but all I prefer is 4 freedoms and 4 fire harnessings. So just those fire harnessing combined give me 8% bonus damage on everything that I do fire related. And then on top of that, we add Rune Glass, with extra fire damage. And I do that on all of the pieces. So if you do quick calculations, I'm dealing 18% bonus fire damage on all of my instances. And that's why this build is so amazing. That's why you see so huge numbers. And that's why I personally absolutely love this build. Now, let's go ahead and take a look into our jewelry. And this is where it is not perfect from my side at all. And I will tell you what would be perfect once I have enough money or once I'm able to craft it on our 0 to Biz account. So starting off with Ankh, this might be a little bit weird, but when I'm going for kill records, I'm playing with a pocket healer. I'm duo queuing, playing with a pocket healer. If I had friends that were willing to quote unquote boost me and help me get to my 100 kill mark, I would probably want to have like a heavy flail CC'er in my comp as well, but usually I just run duos, I run with a pocket healer, and that's how I play. Moving on to Champions Ring, this is good but not perfect. I would, instead of this, try to pull Hearty, Fire Damage, Mortal Empowerment. Again, in OPRs I very often drop 50, 60, 70 kills, so Mortal Empowerment is really nice, but you also don't need it. You could go with Heart, Invigorated, Punishment, and Fire Damage, and that would also be very solid. And then if we were to quickly look into my earring, I'm currently running Empowering Toast, Refreshing Toast, Healing Heart. Again, very decent, it's on 700 gear score, so I'm not really looking to change it. However, you could be running something like Nimble, something like Regenerating, something like just Refreshing. All of those things would actually be pretty solid. Now, let's go ahead and quickly talk about my stats, because I do believe that is pretty important, and this is where my build deviates probably for most of the other builds. As you can see, my gear baseline is already 46 strength, so because of that I just naturally go for 50 strength, and the plus 10% heavy attack damage actually works with Fire Staff as well. So very often with Fire Staff, especially this one when I'm going full auto attack heavy, it is going to benefit greatly from having 50 strength. I don't bother with 25 dex because 5% crit chance, it's like whatever, you don't need it. I always bump my con up to 150. Usually it's okay to play it on 100, but I just notice I get one tapped too often when I play on 100, so because of that 150 is my sweet spot. You could bump this up to 200 if you want, but again, not something I prefer. Focus, I leave on 15. Some people like to go for 25 for a little bit more CDR. I guess it could be worth it, but usually I just do this. I'm gonna be straight up honest, this is how I play. Is it perfect? I honestly don't know. I haven't done the calculations. What if I lose 20 stats in intelligence and put them into 25 dex, 25 focus? Honestly, maybe it would be even better. But again, this is how I play, this is how I've been getting my kill records, and I do believe now it is fair to start talking about the combos and what I love to play. Now there is one more piece to the puzzle that I don't really talk about too much, and that is, as you can see, I also have this piece here, Refreshing Health Meteor Shower. When I play this same build in Wars, I just go ahead and I change this glove. That's all I do. This is obviously one of the pieces I use on my other builds, and this is one of the pieces that I use if I'm not running Burnout. However, Burnout is the sole reason why I get so many kills. The amount of kills I get with this ability is absolutely ridiculous. This ability absolutely slaps. I mean, we're talking 4 or 5k damage numbers if you just land this and this at the same time, and you'll notice that happens very often. So this is the build that I'm running. I'm skipping on dealing 5% more damage with Empower because I always tend to have mana problems. I don't know how, but I always have mana problems. So because of that, I just like running Arson's Advantage and Spell Focus. However, you could get rid of Arson's Advantage to either put an extra point in Clear Mind or Clear Casting. So both of these are fine, but first of all, I wouldn't prio Clear Casting simply because I get hit all the time. In OPR, I'm never really standing there not getting hit. I go right in the middle of people with my healer and I fight in the middle of people. I never play Fire Step from distance, which is probably different to how most people play it. So this is something I wouldn't really consider taking, but I do like the combat speed a lot. This haste actually helps me out big time, but I could be dropping combat speed for something like a Clear Mind, and that would be completely okay. But this is, let's say, the build I love to run, and now I will also show you the build that I would run if I'm running Meteor Shower. So it would look something like this, Meteor Shower, and sometimes I would drop the Fiery Determination to not get grit while casting Meteor Shower, but the more I've played with Meteor, the more I started liking the grit, because you can really cancel out some abilities and just cast Meteor Shower on top of yourself. These two are obviously a must, this is obviously a must, Passive is obviously a must, Fireball is obviously a must. Now we're looking at the Scorched Earth. This is pretty solid because it applies Smolder, absolutely a must-have. Let's take a look at some of the passives. Most importantly, you need to get to the Watch It Burn passive on the right side. So we start with Pyromania. We definitely could consider Let It Burn, but again, we are light, so we don't care about it. We go Heat It Up, we got Kindle, we got Watch It Burn. Boom. This is a baseline. And from here, you can work in different directions. Are you a person that doesn't have mana struggle? Skip Spell Focus. But I think Fiery Restoration is a must-have, so boom, another point used. And this is where it all comes down to personal preference. Some people like combat speed, some people like clear casting. I would not even consider it. Some people like Clear Mind for the 5% Empower. I personally, when I play Meteor, I play Spell Focus. However, again, there are possibilities, there are chances, feel free to experiment. All of these perks are very solid. Go for them, experiment, see what works for you. Now very quickly, worth going through consumables, obviously. Some people will be running this build in Wars, in OPRs or whatever. When I'm playing OPRs, I'm always running a tier 4 Gemstone Dust because they are cheap, and I'm always running a Regen Potions because they are cheaper than Serums. And obviously health potions when it comes to it, and then finish it off with a mana potion. Super important, especially if you have those mana struggles, or if you have your jewelry with the mana being able to heal you. So this would be how I would queue into an OPR with. I would also run Stone Form in almost every instance, however, Detonate, very solid. Monkey Rune can even be solid, and something like Vines can also be solid. I'm personally a Stone Form enjoyer because I really focus on my auto attacks. So this would be my OPR page, and now if we were to transition into Wars, I would get rid of mana potions and put on the cleansing potions. I would get rid of regeneration potion and put on the serums, and I would get rid of a tier 4 consumables, and I would either play the tier 5 oak flesh bomb, or I would play a tier 5 gemstone dust, or I would play a tier 5 arcane absorption potion. There we go, a tier 5 arcane absorption potions. All of those super viable, and obviously this all comes down to your practice when you're playing. What are you dying to, and you need to decide what you are going to change about the build. If we take a look at the resistances, super baseline resistances, and again, a lot of fire mages are going to be prioritizing thrust resistance and fire resistance. I'm not one of those guys. I sit in my sacred, I go in the middle of 10 people, and that's what I fight. That's how I play the game. And my playstyle is going to heavily differ from a lot of other playstyles. So because of that, I go for a very balanced resistance types. But if you're more of a long range type of player, do feel free to slot more thrust gems and fire gems, because those are going to be the damage sources that are going to be dealing most damage to you. And just like that, we covered most of the things when it comes to the build, the gear and whatnot. But now you guys might be wondering, what about the combos? And really, when it comes to fire staff, every single thing is animation cancelable, right? Let's say if we want to do it super slow, yeah, and then we want to do a pillar, and then we want to do this, and then we want to do, I don't know, right? Everything like this can be done so much better. The very first tip is heavy, dodge light ability. This is the bread and butter of fire staffs that nobody does. I don't know why. It's so free to do and so good. So heavy, dodge light instant. You see, this is instant. Let me see without dodge. I can heavy, and then I can light. And then watch with dodge, heavy, dodge light. Instant, right? And you can do heavy, dodge light pillar, or you can do heavy, dodge light fireball, and all of those are cancelable, right? Heavy, let's say you're chasing, this tree right here is running away from me, right? I'm gonna heavy, dodge light and insta burnout. And it's stuff like that that will really, you will see yourself increasing your damage tremendously. And then when we come to Rapier, I'm not running riposte, nothing like that. It's all about, I don't know, you just need to play Rapier to get familiar with it. And one thing I haven't mentioned when it comes to Rapier is that I do not play riposte at all. I think it's complete bait. It baits you in a too long of an animation. I play Flash, which is often the ability that actually gets me kills when the enemy is low HP. I play Evade, which is basically an extra dodge on a very short cooldown when you're spamming it. And I'm also playing Flourish and Finish, basically making it so I can push people away, dodge the other way, gain distance. It's super fast ability, but sometimes I will also use it aggressively, and that is completely okay. But to very quickly return on the fire stuff and animation cancelling and everything that is to come with it. As you play the game, you will literally learn it. Like, you will learn what works, and it's really hard to just pinpoint one thing to do. The way I personally love doing things is just heavies all the time, and then dodge light if I want to execute. Like heavy, dodge light if somebody is low HP. This is something I will use all the time, and if I can, I will always try to weave in the spells as well. Always try to weave in the spells. And obviously, oftentimes I'm just gonna heavy, 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 and that's completely fine, right? But when I see somebody getting low HP and how I want to secure my kills, it's gonna be heavy, boom, boom. And always before an ability, try to weave in that extra little light attack. Because the difference is, the light attack is gonna hit 2-3k easily. And the amount of times you're gonna do this and get a kill, it's gonna be so many times. So really, just try to get used to always using the light attack before an ability. So it would be like boom, boom, boom. You're chasing a guy, let's say we're chasing this tree here. He's running, boom, boom, boom. And we're going, and then we start using Rapier, whatever it is. So this is basically what we do. But if you guys want to see this build in action, I stream every single day. And I've been doing the OPRs, trying to get my kill records for basically most of the last week. So if you guys are interested in that sort of stuff, drop by the stream. Let me know that you've seen the video. And I'll try to have some cool live performances with this build. But as always, make sure you guys give this build a shot. It is easily one of the most fun builds I've had in Season 3. So feel free to test it out for yourself. I guarantee you the build is amazing. And I will catch you again very soon with another video. Have a beautiful rest of your day, and goodbye.